Sandy, one of the bartenders at Pete's pub, noticed Jake Moore as soon as he walked into the bar. Jake was a regular customer, usually coming 3 or 4 times a week. She already considered him a close friend and always admired his constant state of happiness, so it was easy for her to notice that something was wrong today. "Hello, Jake. You look like you've lost your best friend." "Everything is fine." "Hello, Sandy. I'm not having the best day. I urgently need a beer." "Will now be." Sandy hurried to get his beer when suddenly his bar friend came up to him and sat down next to him. "Jake, how is it?" "Oh, hi, George. It's really hard today." "Regret." Sandy returned with a tall glass of Ewingling lager straight from the tap. "Here, Jake. Now tell me. What's happened?" "I don't want to worry you, Sandy." "Hey, Jake, bartender. Listening is our job." Jake couldn't help but smile. He and Sandy became friends thanks to his frequent visits to the pub. He was pleased that she was not only incredibly beautiful, but also a wonderful, caring woman. "Are you sure?" "Come on, Jake. We became pretty good friends. Plus, you're a great guy and my favorite client. Maybe I can help." George pretended to be offended. "I thought I was your favorite client. You, honey, when Jake is not there." Their banter made Jake smile a little, but he needed to talk. He really hoped that Sandy could help him feel better. "Jake, what happened? I see this is bothering you." "I don't know where to start." "Just tell me, no need to filter for me." She put her hand on his for comfort, and Jake felt the warmth of her touch. "Well, my wife, Amber. You know her." "Yes. She had a meeting this evening at the school where she teaches. She said she wouldn't have time for dinner, so I decided to bring her a sandwich so she would have something to eat." "You're a good husband, Jake." "Unfortunately, when I approached her office, I saw that she was cheating on me with a colleague." "Oh no. Oh my God, Jake. I am so sorry." "Man, this sucks," George added. "I peeked around the corner and took a couple of pictures for proof, and then I left and came here." "Oh, Jake, I am so sorry." Sandy walked around the bar and hugged Jake, sitting down on the chair next to him. Her consolation brought his first tears. "Are you going to be okay?" "I do not know what to do. I feel lost, but I think a few hours and a lot of beer will help me get my thoughts together. I'll only be at work for a few minutes, and then I'll sit with you, okay?" "I would like that. Thank you, Sandy." She left to refill drinks for a group of 6 guys at the pool table, as well as another dozen co-workers who had come for drinks after work. George hated being in such trouble, but he had a similar experience and felt he had to help his friend. "What do you think you're doing, man?" "Don't know. Amber and I have been friends since 3rd grade. She was everything to me, and I just don't understand why she did this. And like a fool, I didn't even know about it. I would never have thought that she was capable of such betrayal. Don't know. I just do not know." "Do you think you'll try to fix everything?" "I will never forget this image and these words. I gave her absolute trust and devotion, and she just ruined everything. No, I don't think I can survive this. If you need a lawyer, I'll give you the number of the one my ex-wife used. She destroyed me and my lawyer." The bar was filling up more and more. The large group was getting quite rowdy after work and decided to turn on the jukebox so some of them could dance. Sandy finished her shift and headed to her friend who needed her support. "Okay, Jake, I'm done. Why don't we go to that table? It will be more convenient there." "Certainly. It sounds good." Not wanting to leave George out, she turned to him. "Would you like to join?" "Only for a few minutes. I need to pick up the kids from rehearsal because my ex is doing pilates or something." The round table seated 4, and Sandy sat between Jake and George, leaving the seat opposite her empty. "I can't believe your wife did this to you. I always liked her when you came together." "I'm shocked, too. She was the closest person to me for 20 years, and we were married for 5 of them. How could I not know she had this side? Sometimes I wonder if we even know other people. I wonder if you dated other people when you were teenagers." "No. Neither of us even thought about another relationship. At least that's what I thought until today." "Damn, Jake couldn't help the tears that flowed down his cheeks. Sandy held his hand. Do you know this guy who she was with? Well, yes, Tony Jackson. They both work in the mathematics department. This idiot is married and has 2 small children. Are you going to tell his wife? I haven't had time to think about it yet. I'd like to know, so I'll probably tell you. Are you sure you want to do this? George wanted to avoid participating in the conversation since it reminded him of his own experience, but he had to add to Jake's last thought. Jake is right. Leaving it to her is more cruel than telling. I hope you can do it gently, man. I'm sure I can be sensitive to what she's going through, but it's not the first thing on my mind right now. Sandy now held his hand with both of hers. What are you thinking about? What are you planning to do? I'm thinking about getting drunk right now. Don't, Jake. I know you think this will dull the pain, but now is not the time. When you get home, whether you want to face her now or not, you want to be sane. You're probably right. As far as what I'm going to do, I have to get her out of my life. There is no chance that I can stay with her. But damn, I can't. Jake lost control, and the tears began to flow more freely. Sandy hugged him and let him use her shoulder. It's okay, Jake. You can talk it out. Sorry. It's awkward. She is not only my wife, but also my close friend and confidant. Oh, damn. Some people noticed what was going on at their table, and the area became quieter, but the 2 large groups continued to have fun. Then one of the celebrants decided to press the B24 button on the jukebox. Paul Simon began singing 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, and some of the patrons began to sing along. For Jake, the timing couldn't have been worse. Sandy felt him tense with each line of the song that penetrated his soul. Just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. No need to be coy, Roy. Jake lost his tenuous grip on emotion. He slammed the table with his free hand, and Sandy felt an impending explosion, so she moved away from him. Jake started screaming at the top of his lungs. What the heck? What the heck? Come on, Paul, give me a good idea. These 6 stupid ways won't help. I need some good advice on how to kick her to hell. The room became silent, except for the loud music from the jukebox. George decided to explain the situation. Sorry, guys. Jake just found out his wife was cheating, and I think the song hit a nerve with him. The woman at the next table asked, Are you sure she's cheating? Yes, I have photos, and I saw it myself at the school where she works. Suddenly, people began to approach him, expressing their condolences and support. Jake heard them, but didn't focus on the words until one of the visitors made an observation. Jake is right. There are probably more than 50 ways, and Paul Simon picked a few stupid ones. Someone else added, I'm sure we can come up with better ways. And so it began. The whole room started thinking of ways to break up with a lover that Paul Simon didn't include in the song. I have one. Just throw away the trash, Nash. Or how about, send her to Dad, Ted. No, send her back to her mother, Tommy. Come on, guys. We can think of something better. Sandy began to worry that all this might hurt her friend, but when she looked at Jake, she saw that a slight smile appeared on his face. Lock it outside the house, Klaus. Make her sign the documents, Klein. No, it should be angrier, like, make a mess in her bed, Ned. 40 or 50 people were on fire, and Jake felt his mood improve. Do you want something bad? Just put it in her boots, Lou. Exchange it for beer stew. No, I said angry. Pee in her beer stew. Sandy took his hand again. I think you started something. Do you like it? Lock her in a barn with piglets, Diggs. Actually, yes, it's pretty funny. But for now, locking her outside the house and making her sign documents are the only reasonable ideas. Kick her out onto the sidewalk, Herb. Just throw it away, Ross. George looked at the time on his phone. Damn, this is getting interesting, but I have to run. Jake, I have your number. I'll send you the lawyer's information and let her know you can contact her. Push her towards a new guy, Roy. You can't use swarm. How about coy? Anything. Thank you, George. I need to act normal tonight when I get home, but see if the lawyer can see me tomorrow morning. I don't think I can pretend for long. Sell her to the cartel, Mel. Send her to the freighter, Tater. Tater. This name. You understand, my friend. Call any time if you want to talk or need something. This is very nice. Thanks for being here and listening. Spit in her eye, sigh. That's what friends are for. If you do, remember some of the best ideas this crowd comes up with. This is great. Throw her off the cliff, Griff. Change it. Get her off the bar, Cliff. What does this even mean? The crowd was in full swing, laughing, cheering, or groaning after every idea. Sandy was still keeping a close eye on her friend, but he really looked like a cloud had cleared over him. If you're going to do it, how about make her become a speed bump gump? No, do it quickly. Shoot her in the head, Ted. The entire crowd greeted this idea with a deafening boo. Sandy felt the need to hold them back a little. Guys, no dead bodies, okay? Let's be civilized. The guy at the end of the room shouted, Ride off on your pony, Tony. Sandy shouted back, I said civilized, not completely stupid. Jake took her hand. At least it rhymed. Yeah, but a pony. Load her into the van, Paul. Sandy, I'm really grateful that you're here for me. You have become a very important friend to me. Take all the money, Hank. And you for me, Jake. Take all your money, honey. Jake and Sandy hugged a little tighter and closer. Close her credit card, Pard. Pard? What name is this? Like in Texas. Briefly for the partner. Make sure she can't waste it, Sarge. The crowd continued to shout out ideas as Jake and Sandy became increasingly aware of their bond growing. Sandy had always been attracted to Jake, but she knew he was devoted to his wife. This status seemed about to change, and Jake felt not only a physical attraction to Sandy, but also great admiration for her as a wonderful friend and a very desirable woman. With the need to filter and suppress these feelings destroyed by Amber's infidelity, his feelings for Sandy filled his imagination. Join the Marine Corps. Damn, what rhymes with Marine Corps, McQueen? You're not planning on joining the Marines, are you? Never. Sandy, can we cuddle like this because I really like it? More than possible. It feels right. Hey, he said he has photos. Send these photos to the church, Lurch. And copy her mother, Tom. And to the school board, Ward. Don't forget about the idiot's wife, Klaus. Jake, can you come with me to the office behind the bar? It will be much quieter there. Certainly. They walked hand in hand towards the back of the pub. People continued to show their support and pat Jake on the back until they closed the office door. Sandy leaned on the table and pulled Jake towards her, holding both of his hands. I have an addition to 50 ways. Maybe we'll call this the 51st way to leave your love. Is it true? Which? Introduce her to the new girl, Earl. But I don't. Before he could finish his sentence, Sandy showed him the depth of her feelings by softly pressing her lips against his. Their tender kiss quickly turned passionate, and Jake felt the weight of the day disappear. Time seemed to stand still as they both felt the flow of energy and desire between them. Jake didn't want their lips to separate, but he needed to pull himself together. Wow, Sandy, it was. Yes, it was. Forgive me if it was too soon after the day you had, but I've wanted to be in your arms since we first met. Is it true? Oh yeah, I definitely liked you physically, but the more I got to know you, the more I liked everything about you. Wow, I had the same feelings for you, but I would never cheat on Amber, so I couldn't give in to those impulses. That's not a problem now, is it? No. Was it too soon because I couldn't control myself, now that it seems like the barrier that kept me from you will soon be removed? When I saw Amber with that idiot, I was, of course, shocked and deeply hurt. I didn't know what to do or where to go. But the first person I thought of was you. Now, I mean hell, if you told me an hour ago that I would be completely fine, I wouldn't have believed it. But here, in your arms, I feel like Amber did me a favor today. We don't have children or serious financial problems yet, so divorcing her should be easy. What could have been the worst day of my life could turn out to be the best day. The small office was barely big enough for one person, but Sandy and Jake found enough space to kiss passionately like teenagers. Finally, they had to take a break to catch their breath. I think I should go home and make everything look normal. Tomorrow I'll take the day off and get all my affairs in order. Are you serious about introducing her to a new girl as a way to break the news to her? Absolutely. How about I come with you tomorrow for moral support, and we can plan the grand reveal together. Plus, it will give me the opportunity to kiss your lips at any time throughout the day. Oh, I would love to. They agreed that Jake would pick her up as soon as Amber left for work, and they would start their day together with breakfast. On the way home, Jake marveled at how the day unfolded. How could he get over Amber's betrayal so quickly? Perhaps his subconscious was preparing him for her betrayal. He wondered if he had sensed something about Amber, but couldn't remember anything specific. And with Sandy, did his subconscious catch on to how they felt about each other? Is this all a coincidence? Is it the universe that fixes things and makes them the way they should be? Questions swirled in his head, but the mood was excellent. He already knew he loved Sandy. He was sure she felt the same. How did two good friends turn into this so quickly, especially considering the circumstances that brought it all to a head? He decided to answer his own question. You know what, Jake? I don't care how. I'm just so damn happy. Jake arrived home and was relieved to see that Amber had not yet arrived. It was only 9 o'clock, but he decided to go to the guest room to sleep. He will say that he is sick, and this will allow him to isolate himself for the evening. Amber pulled up and spotted Jake's car. She had been dating Tony for a few weeks now, but this was the first time they had sex during a time when she was usually home. She was a little nervous and hoped that Jake wouldn't notice anything. Besides, she really needed a shower. She entered and did not find her husband. Jake, are you home, honey? Here in the guest room. What happened, dear? My stomach. Wind diarrhea. I thought it would be better to spend the night here so that you don't get infected. Oh, honey, do you need anything? No, I'm fine. Okay, I'll go to bed. See you in the morning. Good night. Spocky. Jake was glad she kept it simple. He could see that she was standing in the doorway and that she was a mess from the evening's adventures. At that moment, he heard a message on the phone and saw that it was from George. Dude, you have an appointment with Alice Trumbull tomorrow morning at 9. I'll send you the address. Jake lay down and smiled. After a few minutes, his thoughts began to return to the good times with Amber. He knew he would miss the girl who had been his best friend since he could remember. They learned everything about sex together and relied on each other in good times and bad. In 4th grade, he beat up 2 boys who were teasing her. They consoled each other in moments of sadness and shared joy in happy moments. A few tears ran down his cheek, mourning what was now in the past. Then his thoughts quickly turned to images of Sandy. He reflected on the growth of their friendship. He thought about her perfect body, which was about the same height as Amber 5 feet 5 inches. Her flowing, dark brown hair framed her beautiful face and those mesmerizing dimples. Her smile lit up him every time he saw her. She had a sharp mind, a well-developed understanding of life, and a disposition that warmed him at the very thought of her. He whispered his thoughts to himself. Jake, you may have gotten into some shit, but your day turned out to be golden. He decided to send his own message. Sandy, I can't wait to see you in the morning. I miss you already. She answered quickly. I'm over the moon. I wish you were here. Good night, my friend, and you mean so much to me. Dream of me holding you. Good night. Jake smiled at her message and thought to himself, damn, she knows how to turn a guy on. Jake texted his boss that he needed the day off, got dressed, and went downstairs where he was sure Amber was making coffee. Jake, are you feeling better? Yeah, not perfect, but good enough to go to work. She kissed his forehead and left to start her day. Interesting, he thought. No kiss on the lips or words of love. This is new. Amber definitely surprised Jake with her betrayal. He thought that he knew her and that she was not capable of such vile behavior. but she could not hide her mood from him. He knew her subtle signs better than anyone else. He saw the whole story clearly in her eyes, and in the slight twitch of the right corner of her lips. She felt guilty. Amber's car had barely pulled out of the parking lot when he texted Sandy that he was on his way. She only lived a few minutes away, but it still gave him time to think about his feelings for her as he drove to her house. He was inexorably drawn to Sandy. He feared that the love and affection he felt for her was exaggerated due to Amber's betrayal. The more he thought about it, the more he became convinced that his feelings were strong and real. He was in love with Sandy. Nothing else could explain how, in the space of 16 hours, he had gone from loving Amber to hating her, and now to indifference. Jake parked and practically skipped to Sandy's front door. "Hi, beauty." Before she could say a word, he hugged and kissed her. Their passion was intense, like that of two lovers who had been separated for months. Sandy's heart beat faster, and shivers of joy ran down her spine. Jake felt a glow throughout his entire body as he tasted her lips, and their tongues swirled and danced together. The smell of her hair was intoxicating like fresh flowers in the spring rain. "Wow, Jake, this is how I like to be greeted in the morning." Jake laughed for a moment. "Who else greets you like this?" "This was a first, and I hope many more will follow." "Hungry?" "More to you?" "Yes, but we should probably eat some real food. I assume you have a plan for the day." They went to a local diner for a quick breakfast before meeting with the lawyer at 9. Jake couldn't take his eyes off hers. They shone at him with an intensity he had never seen from anyone else, including Amber. The smell of coffee and bacon dominated the homey atmosphere of the diner. Jake and Sandy held hands and chatted lightly until the food arrived. They both felt a sense of comfort in their touch and a feeling of warmth as their hearts opened to each other. Without realizing that the other was thinking the same thing, Jake and Sandy dreamed that this would be a new path for both of their lives. The waitress was very friendly, but also very bossy in the stereotypical style of many diner waitresses. She interrupted their moment by serving plate after plate of eggs, bacon, homemade potatoes, sausage, scrapple, and toast. "Oh my God, Jake. I didn't think we ordered that much food. I didn't know how hungry you were, but I never had dinner last night. Everything is here to share, so get started." "Okay. While I'm at it, can you tell me about your plans for today?" "Okay. First, we have an appointment with Alice Trumbull at 9. She's a lawyer recommended by George." "Are you meeting with her just to discuss possible actions?" "No. It's already decided. I'm meeting with her to start the divorce process." "You are sure?" "Yes, without a doubt. When I saw Amber this morning, I felt indifferent. It surprised me. I expected to be angry or hateful. I still felt pain, but I was almost overwhelmed with a sense of peace that I didn't care about her at all like he used to. Does that make sense?" "Jake, I'm worried that I may have pushed you too hard, too soon. Are you sure the bond we shared didn't mask what you really feel?" "I thought about it. I don't think so. I think what grew quickly between us really accelerated my feelings for Amber, where they needed to go for me to find peace with her. What's surprising to me is what this indifference means. Hate is not the opposite of love. Indifference is the opposite. I will always appreciate what Amber and I shared as friends, but I feel nothing for her as a wife or lover." "Do you feel comfortable with us at this stage?" "I'm much more than comfortable. I'm excited about what's to come." "Me too. Perhaps more than you can imagine." "I'm not sure about that. I have a very active imagination." "Okay. What's next after the visit to the lawyer?" "I got Amber's boyfriend's home number from her teacher directory. I want to call his wife and then visit her to tell her the truth. I hope you're willing to come with me because you'll be in a better position to give her the comfort she needs." "Yes, of course. I hope you're right that she should know. I think I agree with you, but there are people who would rather not know." "Ah, yes. The ostrich approach to problems. Anyway, after this difficult conversation, we will have the whole day to talk about how to confront Amber. But more importantly, Hopefully we can talk about ourselves and have some quality time with each other. You're not talking about naked time, are you? The smile on her face clearly told Jake that she was joking, but would also welcome such a scenario. As much as I would like to, and I really mean I would really, really like to, I'm still married right now and I can't afford to go that far. I was hoping you would say that because it confirms to me what kind of person you are, but my strong attraction to you is fighting against my sense of decency. They both thought about going deeper into talking about their relationship, but the time wasn't right. Instead, they finished their meal and drove to the lawyer's office. Alice Trumbull was not at all what Jake expected. He assumed that she would be a middle-aged battle axe, breathing the fire of justice for the downtrodden. Instead, she looked like a former cheerleader who was now in her 30s. She looked at Sandy with a lot of judgment in her eyes. She assumed that Sandy was Jake's mistress, and that he was cheating in his marriage, and Alice hated cheaters. She softened considerably when she learned the truth and saw the evidence. Jake's assumptions were correct regarding how the divorce would be handled. A 50% split of joint savings made little difference. The apartment was rented, so there was no capital to share. Their 401k was individual and will remain with the investor. Everything should be easy, simple and clear. Jake had incentives to get Amber to sign quickly. They left Alice's office at 9:30 and called Diana, Tony's wife. She reluctantly agreed to accept them, but finally gave permission to come right away. As soon as they started driving, Jake and Sandy felt nervous for the first time that day. Things got very real and personal for the young family. "Hi, Diana. Thank you for having us on such short notice. This is my friend, Sandy. Come in. We can sit in the kitchen. I made some coffee." "Thank you very much. That's very nice." Sandy and Jake sat at the table while Diana went to the kitchen counter to pour 3 cups. Sitting with her back to them, she immediately got down to business. "Jake, are you here to tell me that my husband is cheating?" She turned and carefully placed the cups in front of them, without raising her head or looking directly at them. "How do you know?" "Unless you're trying to sell me something, that's the only reason the husband of one of Tony's co-workers would come to see me." "Well, yeah, he's cheating with my wife." Pointing to Sandy, Diana calmly asked, "Who is she, the one you're sleeping with?" "No, just a close friend." "Are you sure they're both cheating?" "Yes, I saw them and I have photographs." "Can I see?" "Yes, if you're sure you want to." Jake showed her the pictures on his phone. Sandy watched her reaction carefully. It seemed to her that Diana's eyes were filled with fire. Without warning, Diana threw a full cup of coffee into the sink, breaking it and staining the curtains. She started pacing back and forth like a hungry tiger in a cage. Sandy squeezed Jake's hand and hoped that the released animal would leave them alone. "That son of a bitch! Damn him! Damn him! Damn, damn, damn!" The swearing and swearing continued for several minutes. She went into the next room, which looked like a study or office, and came out with a stack of comic books neatly wrapped in plastic. Jake noted that these were rare and collectible pieces. Diana began to tear them to pieces. The colorful cartoon characters turned into confetti, which she threw all over the room, railing against Tony's legacy. Jake and Sandy expected Diana to cry on Sandy's shoulder, and they would walk away, leaving a broken woman in their wake. Instead, they sat almost paralyzed in fear of the mad woman, hoping that they would not become her targets. Diana continued, "What should I do? What the hell? I know." She picked up her phone, explaining the original plan to her guests. "I'll call my brother. He works at Home Depot." Jake and Sandy exchanged puzzled smiles. If it weren't so tragic, the scene before them would start to look more like a sitcom. "Moose, listen, I need your help. You're not working today, right?" Her brother's thunderous voice could be heard even without the speakerphone on. "No, I'm home." "Great. Tony is cheating on me, and I need your help." "What? I'll be there right away. I'll give birth to him." Wait. I may want you to do this, But first you can come in and buy new locks for my doors. Yes, sure. Are you okay? I'll do it. See you soon, brother. She turned off the phone and turned to her guests. I know it was hard for you to come and tell me this. What are you going to do with your wife? I'm divorcing her. I'm confronting her tonight. Please don't tell Tony until tonight. I think they both need to be caught off guard. Don't worry. Tony will get a big surprise when he gets home. My brother will teach him a lesson. I need to call Mom to pick up the kids after school. They don't need to see what's going to happen here today. Oh, and send me copies of the photos. Give me your mobile number. We need to go too. We all have a busy day ahead of us. Jake and Sandy got into the car and burst out laughing. Your wife's rival will not have a pleasant evening. Hell knows no fury. Don't tell me. What's next on the plan? Bank to close the loans and withdraw half the savings, and we can take lunch. I'm not hungry yet after such a big breakfast. Same thing with me. I thought we could grab sandwiches or hot dogs and eat them later when we want. I'm sure I'll want something before I run into Amber. Sounds like a plan. Jake, I have one wish. Which? I need a kiss. Jake gladly fulfilled her wish. With bank accounts and hot dogs in hand, Sandy and Jake walked into his house shortly after noon. The refrigerator door had barely closed when their lips met in deep desire. Both wanted to forget everything and run to the bedroom, but both had the self-control to act responsibly. Jake got out 2 glasses of ice and a bottle of sparkling water so they could sit and talk. The new couple was keen to explore their budding relationship, but first they had to plan for the showdown. They sat down on the couch together and Sandy started talking. What do you see happening when Amber comes home? Your line from the song 50 Ways describes it perfectly. I'd like to introduce you to her, my new girlfriend. With a huge smile, he leaned down and kissed her again. You're my new girlfriend, right? I think that's safe to assume. Do we do anything when she walks through the door? Jake desperately tried to hold back his laughter, but couldn't. What's so funny? Jake tried to stop himself from answering. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed that this even crossed my mind. What? I don't want to talk. I don't want to admit what went into my dirty little brain. Oh, come on. You can't shock me. I don't want to hurt you. You mean too much to me. Okay, I'll start guessing. When she comes in, you think we should both be naked. No. Okay, I'll tell you. Please don't be angry. Okay, I promise. The thought crossed my sick mind that it would be funny if she caught us doing what I saw her do to Tony when I first saw them together. What, making love? No, but... Oh, you mean like me, I deliver you pleasure? Now Sandy couldn't help but laugh. You're angry? No, actually, that would be funny. Do you really want to? Oh dear, how can a red-blooded guy say no? But I don't want to for several reasons. Fine. Jake kissed her deeply, then looked straight into her eyes. You're making it complicated. Let me rephrase. They both chuckled at his unintentional double entendre. You're making it difficult for me to behave, but I have very good reasons why this is a bad idea. I'm guessing you don't want to stoop to her level or give her a weapon in a divorce. These are minor reasons. The main reason is that I'm falling deeply in love with you. Everything's happening so fast that I don't fully trust myself or my actions and want to protect both of us. I really hope that we become what, it seems to me, we become and will eventually make love. I don't want to devalue it, especially for the first time. Doing an intimate act for revenge or for show is simply wrong. I need to confess something, Jake. I love you. You don't have to say it back now, given the speed of our new relationship and especially under these circumstances, but I love you. I have for a long time, but I knew it couldn't be mutual because you were married. I would never come between marriages. Since I knew you, every guy I tried to date in the last year or two had to match you, and no one could. Yesterday I couldn't help myself, chasing you, even despite the shock you felt. When that stupid song started playing and everyone started coming up with new lines, I saw how your face lit up. We were already getting closer to try to make you feel better, but the feeling quickly changed to strong affection, and I felt that you were returning the feelings. I waited so long to show you how I felt. As soon as the door opened, I ran through it as fast as I could. I'm glad you did it. Everything that happened seems right. Of course, I'm not glad Amber didn't respect me and our vows. But the way you make me feel makes everything right and makes everything okay. So let me admit something. That first kiss in the bar room sealed it for me. I felt more love and passion in that moment than I've ever felt in my life with Amber or anyone else I was lying to. In my bed last night and thought about it. I think Amber and I got married because it seemed logical. We've always been close friends and very intimate with each other since we both learned what intimacy was. I love her, as a friend. Now I know that love can be much more thanks to you. Are you saying you love me too? I'm 90% sure. If things didn't happen so quickly, I'd be 200% sure if it were possible. There won't be any doubt when I say it. I agree with that. Now for the important stuff. What pet names are we going to use? Well, I can't call you sweetheart because that's what I called Amber. While we're on the subject, is it okay to call you love? Oh, I like that. How about I call you sexy or macho, or maybe sweet ass? You have a really nice ass. Choose what you're comfortable with, love. In fact, I might call you something else sometimes when I want a kiss. How? Sugar lips. Their lips and tongues met in a wild ritual of passion. Finally, for no other reason than to breathe, their lips parted. They looked into each other's eyes, silently expressing deep affection. Perhaps it should have been called what it was. It was love. Sweet ass. Yes, sugar lips. How soon will the divorce papers be ready? The lawyer promised to deliver them in the afternoon, which should be around now. So if she signs tonight, how soon can I have you in my bed? Once they are signed, I am free of my vows. If we keep sitting here and kissing, my self-control will break down. How about a hot dog? It's a good idea and a much-needed distraction. While they were eating their late lunch, a knock on the door announced the arrival of the divorce papers. Jake looked through them and let Sandy read them too, out of politeness. Everything was in order, so Jake signed and dated his signature block and Sandy signed as a witness. About an hour before Amber was due to arrive, Jake went to the spare room that served as his home office to print out photos from his phone. Once the seal was completed, everything was ready to face Amber. Back on the couch, Sandy sat back on his lap and the lovers embraced. She was nervous and could feel how tense Jake was. Do you know what you're going to say? Mostly, yes. Yesterday I was preparing a lot of swearing, naming names, cursing, and as much shame as possible. But now, with you in my arms, I just want to be firm and finish this. She can't undo what she's done, and I can't be with her again. I will only threaten shame if she rebuffs me in signing the divorce. Do you think she will fight back? I think so, at least in the beginning. We'll see. How it ends for her will be up to her. For me, the fact is that I want you more than anything in the world, and that makes everything okay. Sandy started kissing his neck and running her hand through his hair. Jake responded with similar acts of affection. The last moments before the collision were tender and loving. With every kiss and touch, Jake felt a calm determination take over his mind and body. In a few moments, this terrible chapter of his life would end. Sandy. Yes? I love you. I'm sure of it. Amber parked the car and took a deep breath, turning off the engine. It was a hard day. Tony wouldn't leave her alone, and the thought of what she had done sickened her. She wondered how she had allowed him to talk her into this vulgar affair. Now he threatened to reveal their affair to Jake if she didn't continue sleeping with him. She reminded him that he had more to lose if she exposed him. It was an unpleasant conversation. Now the main question that tormented her was whether to confess to Jake. She was afraid that he would find out himself, but she was even more afraid to admit the truth to him. She didn't like either path, but at least she didn't have to choose now. Today, she was going to make love to him with all her body and soul. She wanted Jake to take her back without even knowing that he needed to do so. Amber opened the door and entered their house. It was her refuge from all the madness in her life. "Jake, I'm home. Oh my God." Sandy sat on Jake's lap and they kissed. "Jake, what are you? And who is this bitch?" Jake looked at Sandy. "Come on, love. The time has come." Amber turned red with rage. "You're that bitch from the bar, Candy, or whatever your name is." Jake held Sandy's hand as they walked towards Amber. "Her name is Sandy, and she's my new girlfriend. Don't ever call her those names or anything like that again." "Girl, have you forgotten that you are married?" "No, but you were the one who tried to change our definition of marriage to open." "What? I never—" Amber dropped her suitcase and fell to the floor. Jake helped her up and moved her to the chair opposite the couch. Then he and Sandy took their places on the couch. Amber looked at Jake with tears in her eyes. "You know, right? About you and Tony? Yes." "How? Did he tell you?" "No. You said you were working late, so I brought you a sandwich so you wouldn't go hungry. Instead, I saw you too. Here are the pictures." Amber looked at the evidence in front of her and began to sob. "Amber, I'm sure you'll try to explain away everything with the standard cheater excuses, but that doesn't matter. You were my best friend, and you betrayed me. We exchanged vows and commitments, but you chose to ignore them and destroy our marriage." "What about you and her? How long have you been together?" "We haven't been intimate, at least not yet." "Jake, please. We can fix this. It was a big mistake, and I ended it today. How can you be so calm? Why don't you scream and make a scene?" "Amber, you may not realize it now, but this could all be good for both of us. We were friends, close friends, and assumed that meant love and marriage would follow. I now know that I never loved you like that. Life partner, and once you go through this emotionally, I think you will understand the same thing. I think you felt it too, maybe subconsciously. It led you to cheating." "How can you say that? What do you mean you never loved me?" "Because I love Sandy. In our first kiss, I knew I had found something you and I had never shared. Amber, you and I were the equivalent of long-term friends with benefits. You need to find what I found with Sandy. You expect me to believe you're not having sex with her. Believe what you want. I have no reason to lie. Here are the divorce papers. Let's get this over with and move on." "Divorce? No, I don't want a divorce. It doesn't matter anymore. I want a divorce. You just want me to make your life easier so you can be with her." "That's partly true, but we both need to move on. You destroyed my trust and the love I had for you. If you really wanted to stay married to me, you wouldn't have cheated with Tony. Admit it to yourself and let's move on. Further, what we had is already gone." "No, I will fight." "Amber, take a couple of days to think about it. Consult with a lawyer if you want, but if you don't sign by this time next week, I will act in a way you don't like." "This is a threat." "I don't want it to be like this. Divorce happens because it's a consequence of your actions. If you don't understand this and decide to fight, I'm ready to send these photos to your parents, our friends, the pastors at church, the school board. You know? This will be the consequence of your decision if you do not sign." Amber cried like a loser. "I can't believe you'll do all this. I can't believe you cheated with Tony, but now we need to work this out. Let's be adults and do this quickly. I will be kicked out and possibly fired. Please don't do this. You have a week. If you think the terms are unfair, we will discuss. But this splits our joint assets in half. That's more than fair. You're not going to tell Tony's wife, are you? He has 2 kids. I can't believe you're worried about your lover, but you're too late for that request. I met with Diana Jackson today. Tony is about to learn the consequences." "Oh, Jake, how could you? Do you think that's a fair question, Amber? How could I not do this?" Oh God, Jake, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you or us. I'm sure. But what's done is done. I think it's best if you find somewhere to spend the night. I suggest your parents, since they're not far from your school. Tell them the truth, Amber, or I'll use the photos to protect my reputation. Amber slowly stood up and walked into the bedroom. Jake heard her talking on the phone to her mom and was glad to hear her take charge. 20 minutes later, she returned with several suitcases. She stopped at the front door with her back to Jake and Sandy. Sorry, Jake. Take care of him, Sandy. She left with a sob. Jake, on the other hand, sat with tears streaming down his face as Sandy hugged him. Are you okay, honey? Yes. He decided to try to regain control with a little humor. What's up with you calling me sweet ass? I didn't think this was the right time for this. It was emotionally draining, but I'm glad it's over. Can we just sit and cuddle for a while? For the rest of your life, if that's what you want. I like the sound of that. You handled it calmly, gently, and like a true gentleman. Those are some of the qualities that made me fall in love with you. You're so sweet, and your way is definitely better than any of Paul Simon's stupid ideas. We need to send him all the new lines they came up with at the bar, but tell him that this was the 51st way, and it was definitely the best. Across town, Tony Jackson returned home to find his massive brother-in-law sitting at the kitchen table. Moose didn't look happy. Hey, Moose, where is everyone else? Moose slowly got up and walked towards his goal. When he got within 3 feet of Tony, he held one of the photographs in front of Tony's face. Want to explain it, bastard? Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Moose grabbed Tony by the shoulders and threw him into an easy chair. Explain. It was a stupid mistake. It's over and won't happen again. And that's supposed to make everything okay? Diana should just accept that answer and everything will be fine. Please, Moose, help me work this out with her. Well, I'm afraid you're too late for that. She and the kids have been gone for a few hours. You have half an hour to gather everything you need and get out of this house. Got it? No, this is my home and I want my wife and children. Moose turned red with anger. He wondered if Tony was really that stupid. Wasn't I clear? She doesn't want anything to do with you. Divorce papers are in process. It's over. And don't you dare contradict me. I love my sister, and it's not a problem for me to sit in a cell to protect her from someone like you. Do you understand me, freak? Tony sat almost paralyzed with fear. He realized that he had released some urine. He stood up and, under Moose's careful supervision, began to pack his things and prepare to leave. Moose helped him, throwing each suitcase out the door onto the lawn. As he made his way past the big man towards the exit, he noticed confetti all over the kitchen and quickly realized it was his prized comic book collection. Believing that Moose would not be sympathetic, he kept his grief to himself. Diana did not make a deal with Tony to hand over the photographs. She might have been stupid because it could have affected her child's support, but she sent it, private parts blurred out, to the school board. They were immediately suspended from work without pay until the end of the school year. When they were called to the administrator's office, Tony, under the pressure of everything that had happened, lost his composure. An outburst of shouting and swearing led to his complete dismissal. Tony realized he was defeated. He agreed to the divorce and left town. Apart from regular alimony and child payments, no one else saw or heard from him. 2 years later, on a bright and sunny day, Sandy and Jake slowly walked hand in hand along the path around the lake at the local park. She was 6 months pregnant, and a walk in the fresh air after a long winter was especially pleasant. Love, have you thought about a name for our girl? What do you think of Tricia? I think Tricia Moore sounds good. You mean her full name will be Patricia and Tricia is her nickname? No, just Tricia. Tricia Ann Moore. I love that Ann is your mother's name and my mother's middle name. I think this is a good choice. Let's. Jake? The voice came from behind. Sandy turned to see who it was, but Jake knew that voice better than anyone. "Hey, Jake." "Sandy." Jake still hadn't turned around, so Sandy took the lead. "Amber, how are you?" "Okay." "Oh, I see you're expecting a baby. Congratulations." Jake finally turned around and saw his ex-wife. "Hey, Amber, you look good." "Thanks. I'm fine and I think I belong. And you two look happy." "We are happy," they answered in unison, which made all three smile. "Jake, the night that, let's be honest, the night that I caused you to break up with me, you said some things that I didn't understand at the time. You were right. When I see the way you look at Sandy, I see a love deeper than we've ever had. You may not believe it, but I'm really glad you found each other." "Thank you. I didn't say it to be mean or hurt you. It just became so obvious back then, and I was hoping it would make sense at some point." "Amber, what about you? Are you dating someone?" "There are a few guys I've gone on dates with. None of them made me feel the way I see in you, but I know the right person will come along. I saw that you got married just a few weeks after your divorce. I started to meet only after that. Jake, and I know you'll find yours." "You know, Jake, you said that night that we might have made a mistake getting married. And maybe you're right. But honestly, I think what I miss most is my best friend." "I know, Amber. We've had a long and wonderful history. But the way things have unfolded, it wouldn't be fair to Sandy to renew such a close friendship." Sandy felt the need to add her feelings. "I don't mind if you two communicate sometimes, but Jake is right. Too much has happened for us to be that close again. We both don't hate you, Amber. We mean it when we say we wish you the best." "Something about that night always bothered me. Can I ask, Sandy, why were you with Jake when he confronted me?" Jake laughed. "Blame Paul Simon. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one."